Welcome to Traveling Oracle, the magical podcast, where we talk energetics, spirituality, and how you can use this etheric knowledge to drastically change, transform, and up-level all areas of your life. Are you ready for the glow up? Let's go. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode. I hope you all have been doing well. I know you haven't seen me for a while. Y'all, the transformation that has been happening in my life has been crazy. And the way energy moves through my life is, I don't know how to explain it. When the energy moves, it causes certain actions like automatically without me thinking about it. And the response that my body and my activity has to the energy that's been moving is to go in hermit mode, to go within, to take time. I didn't even make a decision. Like, it wasn't like, oh, hey everyone. I'm going to be taking some time to blah, blah, blah. It wasn't anything like that. It just flowed from my being. And so I haven't been much on social media when it comes to my business and my offers and my healing or any of that, or making anything with a podcast. I've just been being, really. Just being and allowing the energy to move and being silent enough to see what it's trying to move, to hear what it's trying to say to me, and to embrace the transformation. But there are a couple of housekeeping things that I want to get into with you listeners before I get into today's episode. What is today's episode about? Not sure yet, but we'll see as it develops. One is that I've just been through a facilitator training for Kundalini activation sessions. And guys, when I tell you, this is powerful and is about to change the way I work. It is crazy, the energy that flows through the body through a Kundalini activation session. And I think I'm going to dedicate a whole episode to the Kundalini rising, because it's such a profound and important part of your spiritual awakening and your spiritual journey. But just to give you a taste of how it works or what it is, Kundalini is a life force energy. It's your life force energy, and it's a Sanskrit word that describes coiled energy at the base of your spine. Every human being has this coiled energy. And for most of us, it lays dormant until it is activated by a traumatic life experience or an intense spiritual practice such as yoga or meditation or all the other things, or in an activation session. And what I love about the activation sessions for awakening the Kundalini is that it's the path of surrender, not the path of will. It's the feminine path of allowing. You don't have to do anything but decide that you want to be there and you want to have this experience. The other paths that open the Kundalini, you have to force, you have to push, you have to use your willpower. It's the masculine path. And those pathways just never called to me. It never called to me. But this path, the feminine path, it just feels so right. And so what happens is you awaken your Kundalini, the coiled life force energy at the base of your spine. It uncoils itself, unfurrows itself, and slowly starts to make its way up the central pathway of your body. And what's along the central pathway of your body? Your chakra points. And I now know what today's episode is about. It's about spiritual gifts. Okay. And so as the Kundalini makes its way up the path and up through the different chakra points, it unblocks blockages that we've had there throughout our lives. Living in this world, we've created, or how would I put this? We've held on to blockages, whether through childhood trauma, whether through trauma at work, whether through the programs that we watch on television. Whatever experience it is, whatever experiences they are, we've held on to different traumatic experiences that create blockages at different pathways in the body, blockages at different chakra points in the body, and the Kundalini, as it rises, it dissolves. It dissolves these blockages, and then it goes up to the next chakra point, goes up a bit up the path, and if it meets another blockage, it spends time and dissolves this blockage, and then it moves up and moves up. And what happens is each of these blockages are correlated with real life issues that you're having in the 3D. And so as Kundalini works on dissolving these blockages, you will start to realize that things you were struggling with in life have just disappeared. Y'all, when I did my first activation session 2 years ago, I was shook. It was just as easy as going to a class and observing the things that are falling away from my life, observing the patterns that I was journaling about, trying to get out, doing my shadow work to break down, just observing that when I checked back in with myself, they were gone. It reminds me of ayahuasca in that way. When you do ayahuasca, when you come out on the other end, tons of things that were holding you down have just disappeared because you've worked through them in the ayahuasca session. I didn't know whether to say session or ceremony. And it's the same thing with the Kundalini. As it moves, it works through your issues and dissolves them completely. And the other thing is, as your Kundalini rises, not only is it dissolving and resolving issues in your life, it is lighting up your energetic body. And what happens when your energetic body is being lit up? Your spiritual gifts are manifesting. Because the chakra system is the energetic battery for your spiritual gifts. If you have no energy in your chakra system, you have no spiritual gifts. But the more you energize your chakra system is the more alive your energetic body is, and the more your gifts start to unfold and unlock themselves. That is why once you start a spiritual practice, you start to manifest gifts. That is why as soon as you start to meditate, you start to manifest spiritual gifts. You start to do your yoga, you start to manifest spiritual gifts. Once you start to do these things, you manifest spiritual gifts because you are calling divine light into your body. You're calling divine light into your energetic body, and this is revving up the engine of the chakra system and allowing you to be more of who you actually are. So I am now offering Kundalini sessions. If you are at all interested in unlocking those spiritual gifts, if you are interested in having that Kundalini energy starting to rise and work through your system and dissolve your blockages, this is the thing for you. This is the thing for you. I'm so excited to offer this service because it is a powerful catalyst on the spiritual journey. Second piece of housekeeping that's going to lead right into the episode is on March 24th, I'm going to be hosting a masterclass titled How to Remove Fear of Your Spiritual Gifts. How to remove fear of your spiritual gifts. And this is going to be a powerful masterclass. We're going to address some really important issues that come up for people whose spiritual gifts are being awakened. I have met so many people, clients, people here in Bali, just so many people on the spiritual path whose gifts have started to awaken, and it has caused so much fear in their life. So much fear and frustration because they don't know what's happening. They don't know what to do with it. They're sensing dark things. They're hearing dark things. They're seeing scary things, and they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know what to do. And this is creating a traumatic experience for them as they're on this spiritual awakening. And what we want is to have a beautiful awakening. I know the spiritual path isn't always beautiful, but this is a part that I can help to make beautiful because it doesn't have to be traumatic. It doesn't have to be scary. And that's what this episode is going to be about. We're going to touch a bit on the topic of removing fear from your spiritual gifts. So if this topic interests you, if you are one of those persons who you're going through a spiritual awakening, your gifts are coming online, but you are scared out of your mind because of what you might see. You're scared out of your mind at night when you're trying to go to sleep. You're feeling things around, you're hearing things. You just want to cover your head with the blanket and thug it out until the sun rises. I have been there, and it is not a great place to be. And I really want to help you get through this. And I really want to help you transmute this energy so that you can continue your awakening journey. You can continue your unlocking journey the beautiful way it's intended to be. And I just took a moment off camera to reconnect and ask my spirit guides to come through powerfully. And I'm going to take a moment on camera to connect with your spirit guides and ask all the messages that need to come through for the persons who are listening to be transformed powerfully. Flow clearly, flow powerfully. Thank you. There is an agenda. There is an agenda that is very clear as you're spiritually awakening and as you are moving up the levels of your personal awakening. It becomes clear that there's an agenda when it comes to causing confusion around spiritual awakening, causing confusion around the unlocking of your spiritual gifts. Why? When you look at Hollywood movies, one of the clearest agendas is to make you afraid of the spiritual world. To make you deathly afraid of the spiritual world. When you see horror movies, anytime the spiritual things reveal themselves, it's some ugly looking thing in the corner watching you sleep. It's some creepy thing underneath your blanket while you're sleeping coming up towards you. It's some creepy hand coming from behind you and you didn't even realize it. Anytime you see these spiritual things, they present themselves as these terribly dark things that you should be afraid of, number one. And not only that, they present themselves as stronger than you, as somehow higher than you. You know, in the horror shows, the people are always running away from these quote unquote demonic things. They're always running away from the things that are throwing things in their houses, chasing them around. They're always running away. Subliminally, they're trying to get through in your brain the idea that these things are more powerful than you. You need to run away from them. And that programming that has been transmitted to the general public when it comes to darker spiritual things is what is making awakening so difficult. Because before you even have had the chance to awaken, they've created an imbalance in your mind. They've created an untruth, a lie in your mind that you are less powerful than the things in the dark. This is not true. This is not true. And this is not true, especially if you're in your own home, on your own turf, in your own space. So I guess that's what this episode is going to be about in particular. What to do when you hear something that you are afraid of, when you sense something that feels a bit dark in your space, when you're sleeping and you hear something and it doesn't feel right. What do you do when you're scared out of your mind, when some sort of darkness is around you in your space? Number one, and the main issue that we're facing when these things come up and we're scared is you've forgotten your sovereignty. And let's look at the word sovereign. I've looked it up in Google and it says it describes a person who has supreme power or authority. A person who has supreme power or authority. You are a person who has supreme power or authority over yourself and over your immediate surrounding. You have supreme power and authority over darkness, over the things that manifest in the darkness, over the things that are made up of the darkness. Why is that? Because as a human being, your soul has a spark of God in it. The thing that animates this body is a spark of divinity. And as something that is alive by virtue of a spark of divinity, you have sovereignty over light and darkness. The Bible likes to put it as you have dominion over. We are not these little weaklings that runs and hide when darkness manifests itself. Ooh, and chills. The energy that is flowing through me right now is making my hands do Kriya. That's because of the Kundalini, but ooh, I feel the energy. This is a very, very important message because it's a misconception that has ravaged the world. And Spirit wants you guys to stand up in your sovereignty. No more running and hiding from things in the dark. Hold your sovereignty. And that's one of the things we're going to really hit in this masterclass. How to hold your sovereignty. How to feel your center of divine power and take command over things that manifest around you. So we talked about you having sovereignty because of the divine spark that you are. But the second reason you have sovereignty is we like to think about being sovereign over our bodies. Society has taught us that we are in control of our bodies. No one has a right to come and touch without our permission. This is what we have control over. The thing that society doesn't teach you, and again, I have to believe it's for a reason, because once you have this paradigm shift of what you're sovereign over, it really shifts your reality and really shifts the way you think about things and how you move through the world. Is the air around your body in several feet in any direction around your body is an extension of your physical body. Your body does not stop at the demarcation of your skin. The air around you in several directions is an extension of who you are, is an extension of your body, and as a result is an extension of your sovereign space. So as you're sitting there listening to me, standing, or whatever it is you're doing, stop for a moment and spread your arms out in any direction. All that you touch, spread your arms in front of you, spread your arms to the side, go back as far as you can. All of this is your sovereign space. And not just that, push your mind further than your fingertips, way, 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 way out. I want to say 2 or 3 arms lengths out, further. That is still your sovereign space. What does that mean? That means that anything that manifests beside you or in a space where you can feel that something has manifested, it has manifested in your sovereign space. And something that has manifested in your sovereign space is subject to your will. You have dominion over it. It's the same concept as I'm sitting here in my house. I've paid rent for the next 3 months in advance. This is my space for the next 3 months. Let's say a friend comes over, walks in and says, you know what? I think that this space will look so beautiful if I put a center table right here in the middle of your room. Yeah, I think I'm going to go buy a center table and put it right here. And you're like, wait, hold up. What do you mean you think that center table should go right here in the middle of my room? This is my room. You can't just come in here, make changes, bring things in at your own will. This is my space. Absolutely not. Matter of fact, you got me hot. Please leave my space. Boom, they're out. It's the same concept, the same way a random stranger, a friend, no one can just come into your space, move shit around, bring in outside things without consulting you, because you own this space. This is your space, whether you're renting it or you bought it, this is your space. And anyone coming in has to either be invited, or if they pop up unannounced, you have to let them in, determine whether or not you will allow them in, determine whether or not you're going to allow them to stay for longer. This is your space. This is a place where you have dominion over. It's the same concept in the spiritual world. Dark things still have to abide by spiritual law. If they appear, if they manifest in your space, they are there at your will. If they come and you do not like them, command them to leave. If they manifest and you're feeling uncomfortable, for some of you, you're unsure because you don't see things with your physical eyes, but you feel the difference in the air if something manifests that's not right. It doesn't matter whether you're unsure or not. Find your voice and command whatever has just appeared in your space to leave it. You are sovereign. And this is a concept that took me years to realize. I spent so much time in fear, y'all. I used to hate the night. I love sunsets, but I also hated them because after the sunset comes the night, and I know that I'm gonna have to thug it out until morning because I am so sensitive to the spiritual world. And here's the other thing. I'm so sensitive to the spiritual world, and I was going through a powerful spiritual awakening, which means what? My system was taking in more light, which means I was like a flipping beacon. That is what is happening to you while you're going through a spiritual awakening. More light is coming into your body. That's what's causing your gifts to unlock. And that's what's also causing the enlightenment that's unfolding on your spiritual journey. It's the light. And so as your body is filling itself up with divine light, you are bright. You're like a beacon lighting up in the pitch black darkness. And when you are that bright, these darker things are attracted to the light. They want to see what's going on. What is that? And some people are like, oh, but wouldn't dark things run from the light? Not in this instance, because the light that you're carrying is food for them, basically. They don't have light of their own. They don't have this energy of their own. So when they see that, they want to come and feed. They want to come and feed off you. But once you're in that bright awakening light, once you have your spiritual practice, you're doing the things that you know are right and aligned for your soul, that energy is so strong that they have no way of kind of like penetrating that aura. That's another reason why you don't have to be afraid of the things in the dark, because the light that you're holding and you're carrying is protecting you. Even though it'll attract them and they'll come by to look and see what's going on, they cannot penetrate that aura of divine light around you. Now, because they know that they cannot penetrate that divine light around you, this is the reason why the things in the dark show up in a creepy ass way. Why? Because when they show up and you see something creepy, or when they show up and you feel a creepy feeling of something being around, what happens? Most people go straight into fear. And what is fear? A low vibration, a extremely low vibration. And when you get into fear in that moment and you allow yourself to drop your frequency to get there, they have an in. Because when you're resonating at a low vibration, you're resonating at a space where you are now an energetic match to low vibrational beings, which is what they are. Because the world that we live in is simply a game of resonance. When you are bright and vibrating high, even though they're looking at you, you and them exist on two different planes. That's why they couldn't touch you. They couldn't penetrate that aura. They couldn't do anything, because you're existing on two different planes of resonance. But if they appear somewhere, if something happens and you get afraid, you drop your vibration and now you're resonating at a level where you and them are in the same plane. And that's when they can really come and check you out. Not only that, That fear that you have now created in your space is almost like a permission for them to be there. By acknowledging them, dropping to their frequency, that's a way of giving them permission to sit in your space. So it's almost like they've created this little trap. You're resonating high, you're feeling good. Something comes into your space. Instead of commanding it to leave, you go into fear, drop in your frequency, giving them permission to be in your space. Then the more they're in your spaces, the more you can feel them, the more you can feel that something's not right, something's off, and you get even more fearful and you drop your frequency lower and lower. Do you see the trap here? Do you see the plan here? And so what do you do when something appears in your space? First off, it is natural to feel the fear, like that little initial jerk of fear, like, oh, something's here. Oh, what was that? It's natural and it is okay. But what I want you to do after that initial hit of fear is transmute it, shift from that place of fear. Remember your sovereignty. And so after that jerk of, oh, something is here that I don't like, come to your center and say, absolutely not, I am sovereign. Say that out loud, say that in your mind, wherever you feel comfortable, but use that statement, because there's something about that statement in the energy, I am sovereign, that makes you sit up straight, that almost like pulls the energy up your spine. It's almost like it's an activation of that divine energy. I am sovereign. Say it over a few times if you need to just gather that energy, and then feel love in your heart. This is another thing, and I'm going to address this properly in the masterclass. I'm not going to have time to address it on the podcast, but feel love in your heart after you remember that you are sovereign. Because what does that do? That helps to raise the frequency of your body, because these beings do not vibrate in love and light. They're underneath that vibration. So feel that love in your heart, and you can do many things from this point. You can command it to leave your space immediately and let it know it is not welcomed here. Or if you're a transmuter of energy, as some of us here are, because some of us, we have a mission on earth to transmute darkness. Not all of us have this mission. Some of us do. I am one of those people who, my purpose on earth is to transmute darkness as well as spiritually awaken people. What does that mean? It means no matter how high I'm vibing, I will always see the darkness around me, because I am here to transmute that darkness. Some people like to words are escaping me right now, but some people like to say, well, if you're vibrating high, you're not going to see any darkness around you. You're not going to see, it doesn't exist around you. That may be true for you, but I am here for the purpose of transmutation, which means no matter how high my frequency is, my mission comes first. Which means I am going to see the darkness wherever I am. I'm working on people who are bound in darkness, releasing them from darkness. I will see their demons. I will see their trauma, no matter how high I am vibrating. I remember when my Kundalini rose all the way up and connected, a voice boomed in my chest and said to me that you are supposed to go to all the places on earth where darkness congregates and transmute that energy. Some of us are transmuters. Some of us will always see the darkness. And so if you're a transmuter, what you can do is project the love that you've just accumulated in your heart either up to the sky and create a channel of love flowing to the divine from your heart, or you can project that love from your heart in the direction of the thing and command the entity, command the energy to go directly into that channel of love. And what you're doing when that energy is going into that channel of love, you are transmuting that darker energy to the light. And I'm here to tell you that a lot of these dark things, they're coming up to you, people of light, because they want to be transmuted. They weren't able to do it on their own, and they need to be transmuted to the light. So for some of you out there, you would be wondering, why is it that I'm always seeing these darker things? Why is it that these things keep coming to me? I remember ever since I was a child, demonic people would find me. People who were possessed would find me. I would go to church and the people who would find me a lot of times were demonic possessed people. How would I know that? First of all, I'd realize something's kind of off about them. Continuing the conversation, blah, 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 and they'd start talking a different language. I don't mean an earthly language. I mean a different language. I remember a girl WhatsApped me, and the things that she WhatsApped over to me after I realized she was being possessed, the language that she wrote to me in is not programmed in that fucking phone. I was like, what the hell is this? And I always wondered, for many years, like why these people would find me. I'm walking in the street, those people would gravitate towards me. And I realized after a while, it's because I am this transmuter of darker energy. I'm able to release people from the bondage of these darker energies. I'm able to transmute those darker energies to the light. It's a part of my purpose. And so for some of you who are afraid of the dark, so to speak, it normally is because so many dark things are attracted to you. They're burying you in fear, but they're attracted to you because your purpose is to transmute. For those of you who are initiated into channels of energy running to and fro this earth, such as Reiki or even Kundalini, you can always summon a pillar of light from the divine, the same way you would then again, I forget that some people don't practice Reiki in the way that I do. But if you have access to Reiki energy, you can summon a channel of light of that Reiki energy and direct the darker energies to go into that light for transmutation. For those of you who are Christian, you can call on, I would not say Jesus, I would call on Yahweh. I would call on Yeshua. The English translations are very weak energetically. Call on the original names of Jesus and picture that name projecting a column of light, and do the same. Direct the energies to that column of light for transmutation. Thank you, Spirit, for this message. My loves, I am going to leave it there. And I hope this was helpful for you. If you are one of those who is struggling with feeling powerful as you're awakening, if you're one of those people who are struggling with their spiritual gifts and that feeling of fear and needing to understand how to eliminate fear from this process, I hope to see you in the masterclass. The link is going to be down below. It's on the 24th. It's going to change your experience powerfully. And as I'm speaking, I feel the energy has gone down, which tells me Spirit's like, that's it. That's the end. So, my loves, if no one has told you today, I love you, and I cannot wait to talk to you in our next episode.